In this young Penso novel, there is a naive main character living his life in a fantasy world, and this novel's villain is Canaria Easter. She is a beautiful woman with strawberry hair and bright emerald eyes. She hails from a house of aristocrats, one with no power in reality, and her family is broke as beans, but she is still able to become a princess thanks to the empress. In the royal palace, there are two princes. One is a raven-haired stud, the main protagonist of the novel, and a maid's son, the first prince. The other prince is a blonde, charismatic fellow who is the empress's son. Naturally, the empress wants to make the second prince the heir to the empire. Canaria greets the empress courteously, following royal etiquettes, and the empress, who is a cold and cunning woman, fears that the first prince will form powerful ties through marriage. So she chose Canaria to foil that idea, and in the novel Canaria is incredibly dumb, even though she is not blonde. In the novel, she agrees to help the empress torment the first prince, and ultimately divorce him so that she can marry a man the empress will introduce her to and live a life of luxury. Throughout in the novel, she mocks the first prince's origins and also spends extravagantly, being a burden on the palace's finances, and also using her title for oppressing the weak. So naturally, Canaria had her end coming when she was tied up in the dungeon and sentenced by the first prince for execution, a fitting end for a petty villain. But the main problem is that she has become Canaria Easter through a twisted stroke of fate, and she looks at a young boy sitting at the edge of the bed. This is the main character of the novel and her husband, Cesar. Her heart skips a beat as she realizes that she is in the fantasy novel she has been reading, and she is also the character that is destined to be killed. She looks around at the room and wonders why they are only 12 years old and what the adults want out of their children. In this world, maybe child protection services aren't around yet. She notices Cesar sulking, and the room is so shocking she forgets about him entirely. She nervously greets him, asking if they can speak casually, but she only receives a cold glare from Cesar. Canaria smiles nervously, as he is not trying to hide his displeasure. After all, being forced into marriage would make anyone unhappy. She tries to shake it off by saying that she is a baron's child, so naturally, she can't talk to the crown prince this way. Cesar calmly tells her to do as she pleases, and this surprises her. She jumps into the bed, smiling that the crown prince is degenerate. She has been standing forever and wants to lie down. Cesar looks at her in surprise, and their eyes lock before she turns in for the night, smiling beautifully. She thinks to herself that she is the older sister who doesn't like little children, and it feels as if all her worries are gone. She also tells him to sleep, but she notices his hesitation and wonders what's up. Maybe because it's their first night, but they are only 12, so it must be awkward for him to lie next to her. She wonders if he is still a baby and says that maybe she should sing him a lullaby. He angrily grumbles and throws the sheets over himself and turns away. He calmly says that he does not like her, and though Canaria is a bit hurt, she can understand why. After all, the empress has been bullying him throughout his childhood, insulting him without being given a chance to talk back, having his allowance cut in half, and having his presents thrown away in the trash, while all he can do is stand afar and endure. Under the empress's constant bullying, he lived a life of loneliness, but that changed when the crown prince returned from the war and was hailed as a war hero in the capital. He also gained the favor of the emperor, and later on, he punished Canaria and the empress who bullied him and married this novel's heroine, Duchess Lancaster. Canaria wipes a tear from her eye, as the novel's plot is too sad for her liking, and she is destined to be executed as a villain. She clenches her fist in determination, vowing to be nice to the prince so she doesn't end like the Canaria from the novel, and she will only try to get herself divorced without losing her head. Her main goal in life is to be peacefully divorced. She still remembers how she felt as blood was oozing around her head and the life was draining from her eyes. She died in a horrible car accident. A gentle voice wakes her up, and she realizes that it is Cesar. He asks her if she is all right. She looks at him in surprise and wipes her eyes, wondering if she can sleep a bit longer. She wonders why her head hurts. Cesar gently touches her forehead, conveying that she has a fever. She wonders why her cheeks feel warm, and maybe it's the young body that can't handle a wedding. Cesar looks at her speechless as Canaria reassures him that she won't die from a little fever like this, and as he leaves, he should call for the maids to give her some medicine. She accepts his kindness, and he turns to leave. Canaria rolls to her side, thinking that she needs medicine and that the maids will wake her up when it's time. She drifts into a deep sleep. At first, she couldn't get used to this world. One moment she was in a horrible car accident, and the next she was in the body of a villainess, in a fantasy world where she was destined to be executed. And the sad fact is that she can't return to her world, and this is her new reality. It took a year for her to accept it. As she was getting ready to accept her fate, a marriage proposal came from the royal palace. Following the plot of the story, she remembers looking at the envelope with a heavy heart, realizing that she can't change the story of the novel and that she will have to find a way to live through it. Even though she tries to reassure herself, this is not a place where she can live around carelessly. After all, her new parents gladly sold her off, even though she was 12 years old. And oddly, the maids are rude as hell, even though she is presented as a princess. She has no friends or family in this world. With all her heart, she wants to go back. A voice angrily yells, "What the hell are they doing? Did they give her any medicine?" The maids hesitantly say that the princess was sleeping, and the voice yells that they didn't care to call a doctor or anything. Canaria's breathing is labored, and her head hurts. She wonders who is yelling up a storm. The maids ask for his forgiveness. Cesar calls out to her to get up right this instant so that they can go to a doctor, or else she will be labeled as a princess who died after a wedding thanks to a fever. He slams his hand on the mattress, telling her that she will die if this fever keeps up. The mention of death causes her to wake up. She wonders if she can go back to her own world if she dies. Maybe it would be better for her to slip off the deep end, but she is gently fed a spoonful of medicine. The maids want to take over now, but Cesar doesn't trust them. The look on the innocent princess's face screams, "Don't die," and Canaria notices it and takes the medicine without much fuss. Later, she feels better and notices Cesar dozing off in a chair beside her. She starts banging her head on the sheet, realizing that she is still in this world. The princess wakes up the prince. She whispers that she wants to go back. The prince wonders what is this all about, but she turns away, saying it's nothing. He won't understand even if she tells him. He stands up angrily, but Canaria thanks him for force-feeding her medicine. If he had left, she would have died. However, why did he keep her alive? This shocks the prince, and he has no answers. To Cesar, Canaria is the enemy disguised as a friend, a tool for the empress to use against him and prevent him from gaining allies. Being bullied throughout his life, there is no way Cesar hasn't realized the reason for this marriage, and there is not a single reason he would keep her alive. Cesar, on the other hand, asks her why she is having such dreadful thoughts. This shocks Canaria, and she wonders if he can read her mind. Cesar understands that she must miss her home. Life in the palace must be hard for her, so she must want to see her mother. And it's not like she can't visit her family at all. She can invite her direct family to the palace. This shocks Canaria, and she realizes that he has misunderstood her plea to go back. Cesar comes up with a phony logic that this is his room and she is lying in his bed. She wouldn't want to end up as a corpse in his bedroom. This causes her to stand up straight, trying to explain what she meant, but Cesar is long gone. He tells her that he is going to let it slide this once. As the sun rises, she must return to the palace. He slams the door shut. Canaria wonders what she should do. She wonders how he has interpreted her words, and why is Cesar so mad at her. She wonders if she needs to apologize. A knock interrupts her train of thought, and she wonders who it is. A couple of maids stroll in and ask for her forgiveness, saying that they thought that it would be rude to wake her up, and it's their fault for thinking that it's only a light fever. Canaria, on the other hand, realizes that this is just a bunch of lies. They are just too lazy to tend to their duties. After all the servants belong to the empress, and even though she is a princess who has been chosen by the empress, her value is not that much, and if the second prince becomes the heir, she will naturally be exiled, and as her family is not rich, she will have no place to call home. Though it's still a serious crime for the maids to be negligent to her, but her goal is to live quietly and divorce peacefully, and if she backs off, the maids will be less obedient to her. She tells them to lift their heads and grabs one of them by the throat, realizing that she can't stand around and be a punching bag. She slaps one of the maids and they look at her in confusion. She looks at them coldly, realizing that they thought that they could walk away scot-free if they talked nicely. She coldly says that their ignorance would have resulted in a royal dying, and they must not forget it. And she is the wife of the first prince, selected by the empress herself. She turns away, telling them that she will report it to the empress. They ask for her forgiveness, but she coldly tells them that their punishment will be decided by the empress. They still plead for mercy, but she crosses her arms and curtly tells them to leave. Her head hurts. As they leave, she slams into the bed, clearly exhausted from putting on a brave front, and she realizes that the next thing she needs to do is to see her husband's schedule. She looks at her schedule and realizes that he has a sword lesson during the afternoons. She tells the chief to make a fruity drink before noon. The maid turns to leave, and as she sips her cup of tea, she tells her to get ready to go outside. The maid wonders where, but she smiles, saying that they will visit the empress. The maid wonders why. She smiles beautifully, saying that they will greet the empress. A voice warmly welcomes Canaria, and Canaria smiles, saying that she should call her Cana. The empress sits on her throne, looking incredibly beautiful. The empress knows that she's been sick all night and wonders if it's all right for her to be up and about right now. But Canaria says that though she's a little weak, a morning greeting is a must and they must respect the royal traditions. The empress notices her politeness, even though she's young, and acknowledges the incident due to the maid's ignorance, promising to punish them thoroughly. But this unnerves Canaria, as the empress knew the reason before she came here. She wonders what kind of punishment will the maids receive. The empress wonders and decides on a few months of detention in the prison. Canaria falls silent and the empress wonders if it's not enough. Canaria, on the other hand, knows that the maids are all spies, hand-picked by the empress, and she wasn't expecting them to be punished thoroughly. She fidgets with her dress and tells the empress that she's more useful than she thinks. She can provide better information than the maids on the everyday life of Cesar. The empress smiles, wondering what she means. She wonders if the empress knows that the prince skips his lessons. She crosses her arms, saying that she knows that is what she expects from a child born from a maid. Though this is surprising to Canaria, even though the empress hasn't visited the palace for a long time, she still knows everything, but she has some insider information thanks to the novel. She wonders if she knows that the prince hides in a place where nobody can find him and waits for the teacher to leave. But Canaria tells her that this is not correct. This surprises the empress. Canaria tells her that the prince doesn't hide, but leaves the palace. The slimy empress has affected the prince's education. Though all the masters were selected by the empress to teach the prince, and according to the orders, wouldn't teach him properly. He would be bored out of his mind. He would hide in the palace and everyone would look down on him. But he would meet up with a strong warrior, calling him a runaway prince. He would be given a cloak. The prince would normally say that it's easy to get away, but the empress doesn't know this. Cesar goes out to meet with a bunch of mercenaries who will turn out to be his future knights, and that is where he learns to fight and train with a sword, changing to become a sword master. And the empress's plan to kill Cesar through the war becomes an opportunity for him to earn merit. She wonders if she should reveal this information. The empress, on the other hand, is uneasy, wondering why he leaves the palace. She reveals the information that he learns fighting from mercenaries and doesn't trust the master she has selected. The empress says that she doesn't think that he can accomplish anything from what he learns, but this is all in her head. In reality, she wonders what information she has that the maids don't know. As she can't tell her the truth, she tries to play innocently, saying that he is a 12-year-old kid, and she asks nicely, and he tells her. The empress fixes her with a cold stare, saying that that kid would never do that. After all, being bullied by the empress at such a tender age, he is not the type of person who trusts anyone. She tries to come up with an excuse that he is at puberty and she is his wife, so that might have helped. She promises to be her loyal ears and get information from a 12-year-old boy, and if she is not useful, she can always be discarded. The empress wonders what she wants out of this little exchange. She pauses, saying that she just wants to live lavishly. She doesn't want to be a tool and be banished after the king is disposed of. She doesn't want to be ignored by the maids, and she is preparing to be useful. They stand in silence. The empress takes a liking to her, saying that she is much like her younger self. Canaria remembers reading in the novel that the empress was from a normal aristocratic household as well, and was very ambitious, so she became a wife to the emperor. Now she wants to be the mother of an emperor. The empress gives her blessings and asks her what she wants for the punishment. She wants the maids to be banished from the palace. Canaria looks at a wide variety of sweet treats, and the maid is instructed to pack them up. Now that the problem with the maid is solved, she should go to Cesar. After she notices his sword fighting and sits by with a large variety of sweets laid out, though Cesar is bored out of his mind. She wonders why he doesn't quit and eat some sweets. She waves at him, and he wonders what is she doing in a place like this. She wonders what, saying that she is here to cheer him. But as she is met with silence, she tells him that it's it's only a joke. She wants to clear up a misunderstanding. They are married after all and should be ready to talk it out before they can walk it out. She invites him to sit next to her and offers him a sweet, clarifying that she didn't mean "I want to die," as in, why did he save her? She just thought that he hated her because the empress had selected her, and she was curious about that. The prince looks at her in surprise. He goes with the same excuse that he doesn't want to get rid of a corpse. She smiles awkwardly and realizes that he has a good personality. He just can't leave a dying girl to her fate. She still wants to know if he is mad, but he tells her that he is fine. He looks away shyly, saying that he doesn't hate her. This causes her heart to skip a beat, and she smiles. The main character is so kind. She also lets him know that she greeted the empress before she came here. She whispers into his ear that he is learning sword skills outside the palace. The empress has already noticed it. His eyes widen in shock as she whispers that they are going to watch outside the palace. He needs to hide his real skills because that will be his wild card. It's clear that Canaria is playing the role of a double agent, and the prince wonders what she is thinking. While she is telling her this, she smiles, saying that she is his wife after all, and she will always be on his side. They smile at each other later. Because Cesar walks away with his master wonders why is he so quiet. His master is Miller, a mercenary and his closest neighbor. Cesar spills the beans that his wife is on his side. Even Miller is still suspicious of her. Maybe the empress has instructed her to say that, but Cesar is still conflicted. He always knew that Canaria was a chip to be used against him in the wild schemes drawn by the empress to stop him from getting proposed by Duchess Lancaster. If he was married into a powerful family, no one would ignore him. And as the Baron was in debt, they had sold their daughter to the royal family to reduce it. And a child shipped off because of debt was in for a cruel twist of fate. But he did emphasize with her and couldn't ignore the fact that she was selected by the empress. All she could be was a girl with a tainted heart, handpicked by the empress, or maybe an innocent sacrifice, not knowing anything till she was sold. Her words echo in his mind about her being on his side. She is a mystery, and he wonders whose side is she on. Miller stops abruptly, telling him that it's annoying that they are being washed. True enough, they try to run away. Cesar remembers Canaria, letting him know that they will be washed on the outside. Canaria pinches a young boy's cheeks, greeting him as the cute little prince. It's been 2 weeks since the empress introduced her to the second prince. The blonde young boy complains that he shouldn't be treated as a kid. The second prince, Noah, is a lovely child, already 10 years old. She wonders how can this little cutie pie be born from the venomous empress. She hugs him, and as there is no one close in age to them, Cesar has asked her to take care of Noah. She wonders if they should read a picture book, but he still complains about being treated as a kid when she is a kid as well. Though Canaria is 25 years old in real time, she wonders if they should play with dolls then, or maybe they should go meet his brother. This catches his attention. Canaria wonders if they should go, but he hesitantly says that he is having a lesson. She jokes that he must be hiding around somewhere or playing. She is his wife after all, so she knows. The little prince looks at her excitedly, wondering if it's true. She extends her hand, offering to go find his brother, and he gladly accepts it. Canaria smiles and finds it so wholesome. She leads the prince away and tells one of the maids to keep her distance and follow her. After the maids have found out that the empress is on her side, they are treating her much better. And it's good that she wasn't quiet about the whole medicine deal. As she wants to live her life to the fullest, she can't have the maids ignoring her. Later, they come up in front of a tree, and Canaria calls out to Cesar. He appears from behind a branch, and she can't help but think that he's a sneaky little kid. She tells Noah to call his brother. He's up in the tree. She wonders how did he do it, and she lets him know that his brother is amazing. Though in the future he will be a powerhouse that can punch ogres into smoothies, she gives that bit to herself. Noah's call causes Cesar to freeze up. She starts shaking, and she lands majestically in front of them. Noah hugs him wholeheartedly, and Cesar pats his head. Even though the empress doesn't like it, both of the brothers are very friendly with each other. Cesar, on the other hand, looks at Canaria, calling her a pedo, and this annoys her. The little boy requests that he wants to play with hubby, and she also wants to play with hubby. Looking at their sparkling puppy dog eyes, he finally caves in and leads them to hubby, which is a dog he takes care of. He's a fluffy little dog. A voice nervously asks the prince where he has been. Cesar coldly says that he won't be taking lessons from Alphonse, but the maid nervously lets him know that he has to prepare for room sharing. Everyone wonders what is there. Canaria realizes that this is a weird tradition in the royal family where the married couple has to sleep together at least once a month. The little boy wonders what this thing is, and both of the adults freeze. Canaria tries to brush him off, saying that this is something they need to do. The little prince innocently wonders if he can share the room with Hobby. Canaria is at a loss for words. Maybe he thinks that it's some kind of fun activity. She looks at Cesar for help, and he looks away, pretending not to know anything. Later, they share the room and decide to just sleep quietly. She wonders if he's sleeping, and he coldly tells her that he's tired and doesn't want to talk. Canaria freezes and wonders if this is the love meant for her as a married couple. Surprisingly, he drifts into sleep, and Canaria faces the other way. She wonders if she needs to be better with him, and this is the second time they have been together without anything going on. In this world, her only goal is to file for divorce peacefully, and she needs to be close to Cesar. She sneaks around the bushes trying to meet Cesar out of coincidence and gets to go outside of the palace with him, though it's a bit dangerous. She looks from behind the bush and notices that there's no one there. Maybe he's not coming here, but a voice wonders why is she here. Cesar pulls up behind her and she looks at him in surprise. She nervously greets him, saying that she wants to get out of the palace. Cesar wonders if she wants him to take her out. She agrees, but looks away, disheartedly, telling Cesar that if it's a bother, then he should let it be. Cesar coldly wonders why did she know that he was going to go outside today. But Canaria comes up with the perfect excuse that she's been waiting around for a few days. She surprises him as she lets him know that she's been waiting for 3 days. She wonders if she has pushed too much, but Cesar tells her not to be a drag, and she immediately agrees. Later they visit a crowded marketplace, and it is very new for both the prince and the princess. Canaria notices a blacksmith here, and Cesar holds her hand, telling her that they will get lost in the village if they don't stay close. She apologizes, and he leads the way. Canaria notices how he's walking slowly so she can look around as well, and he's truly a gem of a person. She notices a few stalls selling tornado potatoes and wonders why this snack from her own world is here. She looks at Cesar, wondering if they should eat it, but Cesar is nowhere to be found. Cesar also realizes that his wife is nowhere in sight. He was focusing on the aristocrats who knew his face, that he let go of her hand, and he shouldn't have brought her here. Miller greets him, wondering why is he here. Cesar, on the other hand, tells him that he should go. Today is the day all the mercenaries will group together, and if Canaria has any common sense, she will ask the guards to get into the palace. But he's a bit conflicted. What if she just waits for him? What if she gets into a fight or something? Or what if no one believes her identity? He pauses, telling Miller that he has some stuff to take care of. Canaria, on the other hand, is sitting against a wall, wondering where is Cesar. She can't believe that they are lost by being apart for a little bit. She wonders if she should seek out the guards, but she still believes that Cesar will come for her. After all, he's the kind of main character that will never give up on his wife. A voice hastily calls her out, and Cesar relies, panting heavily. He angrily shouts that she should have sought out the guards. The palace would erupt in chaos if something happened to her. Cesar looks at her angrily, but she says that she knew he would come to get her. He wonders if she has ever thought that he would not come. But Canaria lets him know that that will never happen. She believes in him. The beautiful smile lights his heart. He extends his hand, telling her that it's late and they should return. And Canaria has finally entered Cesar's heart, unknowingly. Miller and the gang notice Cesar walking away with his wife, realizing that this is why he couldn't come. And Miller smiles, saying there could be a lot of different reasons. Canaria is riding her horse. It has been 5 years since she began living at the palace, and now she has grown into a stunning beauty and is fully familiar with the palace's lifestyle. She gets off her horse and stretches, as it has been a long ride. Then she hears someone call out, saying that he can never beat her. It's Noah, who has grown up to be quite the looker, and Canaria chuckles. Out of the 107 matches they have had, she has 92 wins, which is quite a lot, but Noah bashfully says that he is not very gifted when it comes to physical stuff. Although Canaria wants another match, Noah respectfully declines, saying that he is too tired. He asks her if she is aware that barbarians are attacking the southern border. Moreover, his mother has told him that Cesar will be, his voice trails off, and Canaria completes his sentence. He will be going to the battlefield. Noah is surprised that she already knows, but with her knowledge of how this story progresses, she explains that this year, Cesar will turn 17 and will be shipped off to the war, all according to the empress's schemes. She smiles in confidence and tells him not to worry too much, but Noah is worrying about his older brother, since it is a battlefield, and though he is from the royal family, it is still dangerous. She gently pats his back, telling him to believe in his brother, and she reveals a little tidbit of information. He will become a war hero. However, Noah does not believe this and tells her that she is so optimistic. Indeed, she can only be optimistic. With Cesar being shipped off to the battlefield, he is bound to come back as a war hero. According to the plot of the novel, she imagines him in his adult form. He is destined to defeat powerful barbarians who are threatening the kingdom and will finally receive the favor of the emperor and become the heir. Though she wants to reveal that it will all turn out fine, she needs to hold her horses. Instead, she whispers that if he doesn't believe in his brother, he should believe her. Noah wonders why she says that. Later, under the starry sky, the mansion glows beautifully. It is that time of the month when the royal couple is expected to share a room. After visiting the market all those years back, they are now on much friendlier terms, playing with their pet dog and having tea together, though they are not as close as a married couple. Rather, Cesar has been her male friend for the past decade. She looks at Cesar and pouts, now annoyed that even though they are supposed to be close, he is not talking about the battle. She finally breaks the ice and asks him if he is going into the upcoming battle. Cesar looks away nervously, wondering how she knows. She angrily bursts out that she has known for a long time, and as his wife, she should be the first to hear about it from her husband. Cesar reasons that he was not hiding it or anything, but he was trying not to worry her. However, Canaria says that she would be more worried if he didn't tell her. With a sorrowful look flashing across his face, he tells her not to worry about him. Canaria wonders what that look is for and clarifies that she is not worried about the battle because she knows that her husband will return without any trouble, and she is even making a purple cloak for him, for when he arrives as a hero, he will need that. Cesar gently smiles and teases her that he shouldn't expect much since she is not good at tasks that demand dexterity. Canaria almost falls for the taunt and is about to throw hands, but her face softens as she realizes that a 17-year-old is going into battle. Though the main character always wins, he has lived a pitiful life. She gently touches his arm and leans closer, whispering that he shouldn't worry and reassuring him that everything will turn out great, because she knows that the process of becoming a hero is a painful one. Noticing that his shoulders are stiff, she whispers that his muscles are tensing up and asks if he wants a massage or anything. But it turns out his shoulders are not the only things that are stiff. His face turns red and he quickly pulls away. Canaria wonders where he is going, but without answering, he turns to leave. She starts to worry, wondering if she has said something wrong. Cesar, on the other hand, tells her to go to bed first. Though he doesn't sound mad, his voice is trembling. Canaria wonders if he is crying or something, as his face was red. She reasons that he must be stressed as a kid and tries to pretend that she hasn't noticed. She calls out to Cesar, telling him that she is in bed, while he tries to control his emotions. Blushing furiously, he tries to bring his breathing under control. On the day of the prince's victory party, Canaria and Cesar arrive in style, holding hands and wearing their best garb. Although Canaria cannot wrap her head around why the palace is throwing a party when they expect the prince to be killed in the war, she has no choice but to go along with it as the princess. All eyes turn to see the beautiful royal couple stride confidently. Canaria is tired from all the dancing and prancing because she thought that with the empress's backing, social interactions would go more smoothly. However, she is proved wrong. The aristocrats like to talk in riddles, which leaves her confused, and today it is harder than ever. If Cesar dies on the battlefield, it will be clear as day that she will have to leave the palace for good, so the other aristocrats will no longer have to flatter her. She looks at Cesar socializing with soldiers and sighs as she prays that no one will come up to talk to her, but her prayer goes unanswered when a voice calls out. Gracie Lancaster, the novel's heroine, teases Canaria for being so relaxed when her husband is going to war. Although it may sound like a compliment to commoners, aristocrats know the hidden meaning behind her words, since Gracie has just implied that Canaria should not be laughing right now. Canaria tries to reply with grace that she believes in him, yet Gracie refuses to let it go and wonders whether Canaria is truly optimistic or simply an idiot. Canaria's face is on the verge of spasming from all the fake laughter, so when Gracie finally takes her leave by saying she needs to dance with her older constant, Canaria sulks in the corner because the biggest twist in the novel is the moment the world sees Gracie's true venomous nature in sharp contrast to her kind, loving portrayal. Meanwhile, Cesarari wonders what is the matter with her and why she seems so sad, so shocked. She reminds him that he is supposed to be busy, and he informs her that they have to dance as well. Canaria teases him that she said she would never dance with him again, yet Cesar points out that today they are the stars of the party and she must comply. Pouting, she watches as he closes his eyes, bends forward, and courteously invites her with his face inches from hers. Canaria's heart skips a beat, and she finally accepts his outstretched hand. They begin dancing together according to royal etiquette, while Cesar whispers that he knows she has been talking to others. She admits that she has been fighting her own battles with her mouth, and although those battles are cumbersome, tonight is the worst. Sadly, Cesar says that everyone thinks he will die on the battlefield, and that she will have no option but to go to the monastery. Enraged by this revelation, Canaria stomps on his foot and angrily tells him to come back no matter what, at least for her, because she does not want to go to the monastery. Cesar is taken aback by how bold she is, after which they bow to each other and turn away. Canaria wonders why he is so depressed, wondering if he is in an emo phase, and she looks at him while wondering whether they are truly the future royal couple, since they do look good together. She recalls reading in the novel that from a young age, Cesar was destined to marry Gracie, but the empress's schemes caused that plan to fall through. At this party, their love was meant to rekindle so they could grow feelings for one another, and then Cesar would return as a war hero to divorce his wife, send her to execution, and marry the heroine. Although Canaria tries not to overthink, she cannot help but feel the story is unchangeable, so she turns to leave while accepting her fate. Her only goal now is to secure a less painful ending for herself. She looks at the stars shining brightly and feels much better, even though it is a bit chilly tonight. It is good that Cesar seems to be enjoying himself with Gracie, and then someone tells her to take care of herself and wraps his coat around her. Her eyes widen in surprise when she sees Cesar standing by her, and in that moment the plot thickens as the story begins to deviate. They look at each other in surprise. Although Canaria is more confused than ever because she wonders why he is here, Cesar wonders whether he is even allowed on the terrace, and she wonders about Gracie, since according to the novel he should have reunited with her by now. However, maybe she is mixing up the facts. She looks away, while blubbering that perhaps he was having a good time with Gracie, so she did not think he would come over here. Cesar then wonders whether she is upset that he has been talking to another woman. He tries to clear the air by explaining that he was only going for the traditional greeting, yet Canaria wonders whether he is misunderstanding something. The look on his face, however, shuts her up, because he seems happy, and perhaps thinks she is jealous even though it is not like that. He takes a step closer, while Canaria wonders whether she should burst his bubble or accept his feelings. Then he gently embraces her and whispers that he will definitely come back alive. He promises to win the war and return to her, so she should not worry about leaving the palace anymore. A troubled look flashes across his face as he repeats that he will definitely come back, no matter what. Tears threaten to flood Canaria's eyes since he is worrying about her, which means he must have followed her instead of talking to Gracie. She finally returns his hug, and their hearts begin reuniting as one because the strong main character of this novel is trembling like a leaf in her arms. 1 week later, Cesar rides on his trusty steed while Canaria quickly steps onto the terrace. When Cesar notices her, he gives her a salute, and she smiles beautifully because that is the day Cesar leaves for the battlefield. At the southern border, in Army Unit Alpha, a voice angrily tells Jack to wear something proper, even though Jack complains that they are at war and can do anything they want. Then a green-haired soldier tells him that they need to be careful because the prince will come here, and they have to show him the proper respect he deserves. One of them even wonders why the prince needs to come to their unit. The same voice also yells at a man wearing an eye patch that he needs to wear those too. The door slowly creaks open as they all wonder who it is. It turns out to be Cesar, whom they call Sean, as his alias outside the palace. They look at him in surprise because they cannot understand why he is in this unit as well. However, one voice welcomes him as His Majesty and says they have been waiting for him. Everyone looks at Cesar in shock as they finally realize that he is the prince. Then Cesar clears his throat, introduces himself as the first prince of the kingdom, and reveals that he had to lie about his identity for several reasons. He ends by promising to accept their questions and explain everything at length because it is going to be a long story. It's been a year since Cesar left for the battlefield, and Canaria sincerely hopes that he is taking care of his meals. She writes a letter, although she questions whether this is the best tone for writing to someone at war. She slides the paper aside and adopts a more romantic approach by beginning with "My beloved Cesar." She knows about his victories and exploits because the emperor praises him constantly and flatters him at every return. Although it is ironic how ready he was to send his only son to certain death, Canaria has been sewing day in and day out to honor her promise to make a purple cloak for him when he returns. Her skills are far from perfect, yet she hopes to improve and perhaps even discover a hidden talent. She wonders whether he will like gold thread on a purple background, since she wants to see him wear it and fervently hopes for his safe return. Noah sneaks up behind her and teases that his brother will crumble the letter in embarrassment, but Canaria fires back that this is exactly the kind of letter one writes during wartime. Then she shoves Noah away and tells him not to peek in embarrassment. With a pouty face, she resumes her romantic love letter and wishes him to return soon. Finally, she spritzes her perfume on the paper and inhales its scent, hoping it will survive the journey. Meanwhile, Cesar opens the letter and smells it, realizing that it is the same perfume Canaria wears at home. His squadron notices his foolish smile, and they soon deduce it must be a letter from his wife. Jack asks why he is married at only 18, questioning whether child marriage laws would forbid this, while his comrade explains that in this country, noble children often marry to strengthen alliances, and that their union was one of convenience. Although Cesar trembles because he can hear everything, he slams his fist on the tabletop and orders them to leave. They panic as they step back, and Jack goes on to speculate that the rumors must be true since the prince and his wife do not seem very close. Cesar hears this and reflects deeply, imagining Canaria and realizing that public opinion has misunderstood her. He promises himself he will dispel that misconception when he returns to court. Once more, he smiles at the thought of her telling him that it is boring without him and that he must come back soon. He gently places the letter in his treasure box because he feels lonely without Canaria as well. Later, court attendants arrive before the emperor to declare another victory on the southern front, crediting the prince with having taken command of an army of barbarians. With his new force, it will be only a few years before the barbarians are annihilated. The emperor laughs, while the empress remains displeased with his latest exploits. She asks her assassin how her plans are progressing, and he whispers that execution has already begun because she intends to discover Caesar's weakness. As night falls, a little birdie delivers a soldier's letter, and his face darkens as he reads it. This is the response to her letter, and she wants to ask Cesar what it means when he comes back. It's a cryptic message telling her that she remembers and resembles a tree. She wonders what it means. She tells the soldier to inform Cesar that she has received the present and hopes that he is well. She also asks for his name, and he introduces himself as Ria Beonhilt. Canaria looks at him in surprise and remembers the name. He is from the Moloch royalty, a loyal servant during times of war, and she can definitely trust him. She wants to walk with Beonhilt for a while and wants to hear his stories about her husband. Even if she has sent numerous letters, she rarely gets a somewhat normal response. Maybe the prince is just bad at showing love. She asks the soldier how Cesar is doing, and the soldier coldly says that he is well. Canaria notices how stiff he is, even if he is loyal. She wants some more details, and the soldier reveals that he has defeated the First Son's army a while ago. However, Canaria wants more personal details, like the condition of war and stuff like that. Beonhilt is a bit troubled and apologizes because he can't reveal anything. Canaria pouts. It sounds just like Cesar, and she just wants to know how he is doing. She decides to get to the point and whispers that they need to talk in absolute secret. She whispers that Bram Smear is the person turning his back and providing information to the enemy. Beonhilt covers his face in shock, as he has been a soldier who has accompanied the prince since he was a child, and how can he be a turned cloak? Canaria looks away, telling him that if he wants to believe his fellow soldier, he should do so over his princess. But he needs to promise something, that he will tell the prince this news. All the letters sent by the servants go through screening, and he is the only one she can trust. Whether the news is false or not, the prince will decide it, but he can't doubt it. Beonhilt nervously agrees to convey the news, and although it's up to the prince to decide if it is true or not, Canaria smiles and turns away. She is sure that Cesar will believe her words. She looks at the tree, wondering about the message that Cesar sent her. Since the trees are from the southern area, maybe she will have to plant them outside. She asks the maid if they have space to plant outdoor trees, and the maid tells her that they can only plant 2 trees, given the limited space they are working with. Canaria wonders if Cesar has sent trees to his palace, but she disagrees, saying that there were no trees at the palace, maybe because he doesn't care about it. She wants to plant the remaining tree at the palace, but this shocks the maid and she wonders why she is so terrified. The maid wonders if she is planning to go right now. Canaria notices her hesitation and feels as if something is wrong. Even if the owner is not home, the house should be looked after, and two maids are supposed to take care of the palace. The maids greet her courteously as she enters the palace. As soon as she arrives at the palace, she stops in her tracks. The palace is in shambles. It's clear as day that no one has been looking after it. She goes through the expense records and finds 5,000 gold spent on buying dirt. A lot of the funds are also missing. Noah realizes that this looks bad, and Canaria thanks him for coming over so quickly. He smiles, saying that it is his brother's business after all, and this amount of corruption is unheard of. Since she has a rough idea of who is responsible, they are fully betting on the fact that Cesar will die on the battlefield. The maids shamefully say that they have no part in this, as Canaria looks at them in surprise. They don't even understand what will happen once Cesar returns from the battlefield. Noah, on the other hand, crumbles the sheet of paper and coldly points out that if they are responsible for maintenance, how can they have no idea? The maids start trembling, and as the direct descendant of the queen, Noah is treated with utmost respect. They nervously say that they have no hand in the budget, and all of the finances are handled by Baron Sepia, who is away for the time being. Canaria can't believe what a corrupt old man he is, first eating up their funds, and next, being absent from his duties. Noah crosses his arms and revokes their authority as the administrative office, and he stares at Canaria for a while, asking her if she will be the replacement unit. Canaria looks at him in surprise, wondering how can she do it, but Noah tells her that it's her husband's house after all, and as his wife, she should manage it. But she has never been taught before. She argues that she can recognize the missing numbers, and after a bit of study, she will be qualified. Still, Canaria tries her best to dodge the responsibility by telling Noah that he would be more suitable for this position. But Noah sarcastically tells her that just because he always entertains her doesn't mean he doesn't have anything better to do. Canaria can't even come up with a response after that quip. And here's how she is the new administrator of the palace, looking after the budget and the palace. While she was the most leisurely person in the imperial family, now she is looking after the palace. After all, the taxes can't line someone else's pocket. She notices a crack in the window and wonders why the glasses are not replaced by now, and why is there a crack here? The maid comes up with a stupid excuse that a palace dog hit the glass window. Even though they're on the second floor, how can a dog hit the window? Maybe they have Crypto the super dog lying around. She instructs the maids to replace every window pane that has been cracked with one from Venetian, according to the original plan. She also needs to have all the dried up trees removed, and they need to try to revive the more expensive ones. She looks at the maid coldly, promising to return in a week and inspect the cleanliness of the attic. As she turns to leave, she reminds the maid that even if the owner is not around, the imperial palace is part of the imperial family and needs to be maintained with dignity. The maid has no choice but to accept her reasoning, and Canaria wonders if her days of lazing around and taking it easy are over. Now she's getting tired, but she wants to be appreciated by Cesar for all the hard work she's putting in. Later, the empress looks at her with cold and calculating eyes, saying she's been up to some interesting activities and now is even managing the palace's budget. This nerve-wracking meeting with the empress is too much for Canaria to handle. Her hand is trembling and she tries to get a grip of herself. After investigating, she realizes that the baron is one of the queen's men, and that's why the queen was giving him a free hand to do as he pleases. Now that she exposed the corruption that the queen has overlooked, it's only natural the queen will be resentful. Canaria tries to go with a careful approach, apologizing for going beyond her boundaries and telling her that the baron was not a man of moderation, and if the rumors had spread that the palace was in ruin, it would reflect poorly upon her as the queen and overseer of all housekeeping. The queen falls silent. After all, Canaria has spent days coming up with the perfect excuse to save her neck until Cesar returns. The empress buys it, agreeing that the baron is very greedy and forgets his place from time to time. Canaria has just hit the bullseye. After all, she knows that the baron is not in the empress's favor, and if she can remove someone she dislikes, she would welcome her maintenance duties of the palace. She looks at the queen in surprise as she informs her of her duties of maintaining the palace. She thanks the queen graciously and turns to leave. She finally lets out a shaky breath. After all, this palace is more of a battlefield, and she wants to leave it as soon as possible. She looks at the sky with longing, praying that Cesar returns swiftly. Late at night, the soldier ties a letter to the birdie's leg and lets it fly, but it is immediately shot down by an arrow. Cesar asks Miller to bring him the letter. The trio arrives just in time to see the soldier go behind his back. The soldier wonders why are they here. Cesar realizes that this letter is about his shoulder and the injury he has sustained, which is supposed to be a secret. Miller wonders if this is the reason why this soldier has been around the prince's barracks. The soldier collapses on his knees and asks his liege for forgiveness. Cesar recalls him having a sick daughter back home, but indeed, he can't have such a dangerous individual going around. After all, there's no place in the army for a backstabber. The best he can do is offer him a painless death. Moments later, speckles of blood splash across the grassy surface, signaling that the backstabber has been dealt with swiftly. Cesar asks Miller to put the bastard's head on display to set an example, and he also asks his fellow if he still believes his wife is a puppet spreading propaganda. But the soldier is still wary of her and wonders if it's all a bait to gain the Majesty's favor. Cesar coldly replies that he has spent 5 years with her and he's sure they can trust her. Still, the soldier pleads that she might be acting and they need to be more careful. But Cesar has enough of his yapping. He promises to deal with him accordingly if he insults her again. He then turns to leave, yet the soldier's words have hit his heart, and he tries to reassure himself that it can't be an act, and there's no way Canaria would do something like that. It's been half a year since Canaria has been managing the palace. Though she is tasked with managing the palace's fund, she still finds time to eat a few sweet treats. However, she's not sure if it's right for her to live a careless life, while her husband is battling it out at the front line and sending news of victories repeatedly. Similarly, Noah is busy receiving training to become a successor. She wonders about her purpose. Is she a doll to be put on display at social gatherings, a face to parade around town? She wants to apologize to all the tax-paying citizens, for she is a villain and will soon be kicked out and replaced by Gracie, and she wants to live from hand to mouth to make up for this time of leisure. The maid notices her praying hard and wonders what is she up to. She brushes her off and has no time for the maid, but due to excessive free time, her mind starts overthinking and she wants a friend to chat with from time to time. Though there are some nobles, she exchanges pleasantries, but they only try to use her to get to the empress. And unlike those ladies, she wants a proper friend. She looks out the window and notices the tree blooming beautifully with pink flowers. This is the same tree Cesar had sent half a year ago, and she recalls Cesar saying that this tree reminds him of her. She wonders if this is because of the pink flowers and she smiles, and she can't wrap her head around how cute her husband is for having such thoughts. She can also imagine his face as he reads her letters. She starts laughing to herself, and the maid wonders if the royal princess is losing her marbles. It's finally late fall, and after a plentiful harvest, winter is just around the corner, and it's also time for the annual hunting competition. Though she must confess, she's not sure why they hold such wasteful events. A voice notices her and wonders why she is here so bright and early. It's Gracie, and Canaria locks eyes with her again. She once again smiles, saying that her husband is gaining victory one after another, so she must be very pleased. Though the girl is smiling, her words are sharp. Even if Cesar is winning his battles, everyone knows that she is the empress's tool and her future is not guaranteed to be bright. But her goal is to gain divorce and alimony, so it doesn't water her. She also laughs, saying that she hopes for the princess' quick return. Gracie tells her that she shouldn't worry about it too much, though she wonders why is she wearing such an outfit. Canaria tries to be nice, asking if she wants to take part in the hunt as well, and she agrees that she likes to be a bit active and also enjoys riding horses. However, she is surprised that her royal princess is not going to participate. Canaria tells her that she has no desire to kill cute furry creatures. However, Gracie is not impressed with her reasoning. A voice interrupts their little catfight, and it turns out it's a simp praising Gracie. The gentleman approaches her, and with an inflated ego, Gracie says that she hears that often. Canaria wonders what is up with her response. The gentleman wishes to offer her the most beautiful fox pelt and wonders if she will accept it, but she apologizes as she plans to catch the most beautiful fox by herself. She calls him William and says that the next time they cross paths, they will meet as rivals. Her words are sharp and it sends the simp away in despair. Canaria whispers that the gentleman's name is not William, and Gracie says that she knows, but he is such a simp it annoys her, and even though he has a fiancée, she is not sure why he acts like this around her. The news of his engagement surprises Canaria, and Gracie says it would be odd if he didn't at his age. Around pretty ladies, men can't help themselves even though they should try to be good to their fiancés. A clap interrupts their girl talk, and they are informed that Lady Elizabeth is his fiancée. Gracie tells her that she is right, and because of his screwing around, she has been in a dark place lately, and she might even break her engagement with this scumbag. Canaria says that scum like him won't gain any common sense even if their engagement is in shambles. He is just trying to leech off the benefits from the lady's house, and Gracie grabs her hand, saying that that's what she's been saying. It's not right that he is going after his fiancée's back, and even if he kneels and pleads for forgiveness, it won't be enough. They realize how close they are getting to one another and quickly turn away. A horn signals the start of the competition, and Gracie takes her leave as she has to prepare for the competition. Canaria, on the other hand, wonders what is this feeling. She hasn't had such a heated discussion in a while, and suddenly a thought blossoms in her mind. If they weren't villains and heroines in the story, maybe they could have been friends. The horn signals the start of the competition, and all of the hunters gallop on horseback, while the ladies take it easy and indulge themselves in some sweet treats. While everyone is busy with their games, Canaria is playing a game of Jenga. As she takes out another block, she smiles and wonders if she has the talent for the game. In the next moment, the tower goes crashing down, and she realizes it's a bit too much for her. The two high-class ladies sitting across her look at her nervously, and the one who has decided on the loser penalty apologizes. Though Canaria is not too troubled, the loser's penalty is to bring flowers from the hunting grounds, but the maid insists that she doesn't go by herself. It's quite dangerous, but Canaria is adamant. After all, she lost the game and must go by the rules, and as they are still at the hunting ground, it should be safe. But the maid still wants a guard to accompany her. She wonders if she is afraid of assassins and gently squeezes her shoulder. In a moment of self-pity, she wonders why would anyone waste their money trying to assassinate her. Later, she looks around and sings to herself. It's been a while since she has been on a peaceful walk by herself, but a squishing sound breaks her bubble, and it seems as if she has landed herself on something incredibly gross. And true enough, it's a worm. She screeches and wonders why are there so many bugs around. In a moment of panic, she trips on a stray root and falls on her face. She looks at her ankle and realizes it's sprained and she can't return by herself. She hugs her knees, wondering what should she do. If only Cesar was here, he would come for her. Gracie arrives and wonders what is she doing here. She looks majestic on her white stallion. Canaria calls herself a damsel in distress, and this shocks Gracie. She leaves her guards behind, but she tells Gracie that she wanted to go on a walk by herself but tripped over a root. Gracie still can't believe what she is trying to do and wonders if she can walk by herself, but she can't. She sighs and helps Canaria up, holding her in bridal style. In a moment of weakness, she almost calls Gracie her bigger sister, and though she is a heroine, it is a little bit unfair that she has stunning looks, an hourglass figure, top-notch education, and great physical ability. She's an all-rounder, and maybe the difference between them is too great, as she's a little villainous. She still thanks Gracie for finding her, though Gracie shares her tears after she heard her scream like a little girl. She thought that a wild boar was after someone and thought that a fool must have gotten themselves. Canaria smiles and wonders what's up with her choice of sweet words, though naturally, she would be irritated for going out of her way during a competition, and she truly is a fool. She apologizes for bothering her, especially during her competition, but Gracie tells her it's fine. But Canaria knows that she always achieves excellent results in these competitions, yet Gracie tells her that she is thinking too much. Canaria is genuinely surprised and mutters that if she was a man, she would receive the family's title. This causes Gracie to stop and she wonders if she has said something wrong. She coldly says that as a woman she can't have anything. Canaria wonders what is she on about. She is the nation's best heroine. She still tells her that she is amazing, but Gracie clenches her fist in frustration, wondering what's the point. Canaria wonders if she has touched on a topic she shouldn't have. Gracie wonders if everything is meaningless. After all, she needs her daddy's permission to do anything. Everything requires his permission, and if she marries, she will have a different master, but will still need permission. Canaria is taken aback by how troubled Gracie is. She wants to be a strong and independent woman in a society run by men. Though she is talented, she can't achieve anything on her own, and she realizes maybe this is the reason she goes for Cesar. As Cesar is an indifferent fellow, he is someone who wouldn't interfere in anyone's affairs and wouldn't care if his wife runs a business or does anything. She never realized that it's not unconditional love, but the heroine was acting out of necessity, and she recalls seeing indifference in her eyes for Cesar. She promises to be nicer to Cesar once he returns, though Gracie says that her father has no interest in handing his title over, and maybe the title will be passed on to her first cousin. She voices out her concerns that she is better than her cousin and much more capable. Though Canaria understands where Gracie is coming from, she can't help her. She remembers reading the novel and sobbing her eyes out. Cesar had married her out of love, and it turns out it was all a marriage of necessity. She wonders why shouldn't the lady become the duke herself, but Gracie angrily says that she is just spitting nonsense. According to the laws of this empire, a woman cannot inherit a title, but Canaria vows that she will change the law. Her eyes widen in surprise, and she wonders if she ever considered the connections and powers the Lancaster family has. Though she knows that it is nonsense since she plans to use Cesar to attain her goals, she is not sure why she is so silent and wonders what is she doing. After she twists the original storyline, she prays that she hasn't done damage to the storyline. During the remainder of their time together, Gracie didn't utter another word. The maids finally see their master return on horseback. Gracie then takes her leave, and Canaria thanks her for everything she has done today. Though her voice expresses surprise at finding Gracie taking a detour during her competition, it's her cousin who is rumored to be next in line to be duke. Gracie lets him know that she found the princess on the hunting trail and was in distress from hurting her ankle, and that's why she helped her. Canaria's words echo in her mind. Why doesn't she become a duke herself, and she can change the law with her family connections? Raymond wonders what is up with her. She is acting a bit odd. Though Gracie is sure that Raymond will make a great duke and is her father's favorite nephew and very talented and nice, she still can't accept him as the duke. She wants to return to her quarters. Night falls, and Gracie walks through the halls all alone. All her life she has been hearing people whisper that if only she was a man, she could inherit the title. With her outstanding qualities, she would have made a great ruler. She is weary of these words as they can change nothing, and her only choice is to choose someone that can grant her freedom and independence. But she still touches the mirror in longing, wondering what if she inherits the dukedom. A voice tries to stop His Majesty. Miller tells Cesar that he can't command the troops in his condition, and his fellow wonders why is he in such a rush. The troops have taken a serious beating and won't be back soon. But Cesar tells them that their leader is alive and they need to get out of his way. Are they disobeying his orders? He asks coldly, and Miller wonders if it is because of the princess. Canaria's words echo in his mind, hoping that he comes back home soon. It's been 4 years after the start of this epic battle, and now Cesar has requested the king to hold a celebration. They can't believe what they are saying, but the attendant says that the first prince has sent a letter to the king requesting a celebration. The empress trembles in anger and tries to disapprove of the celebration, but her advisor cautions her not to oppose the celebration without a plan. She tries to come up with a plan and wants the advisor to meet up with the prince in person. If he wants to hold his nation in high regard, he must choose to forego the celebration. He decides to do just that. His trusty sidekick informs the advisor that His Majesty is in the middle of a meeting and he must wait. The advisor waits for hours at the end and wonders how long must he wait. He finally looks at the subordinate passing by and wonders when will he get to see His Majesty. He coldly reminds him that His Majesty is in the middle of an important meeting. It's been 6 hours, and Cesar finally grants him an audience, wondering what's up. He's handed a letter from the Queen and wonders if she is requesting him to withdraw from the celebration. The advisor nervously squeaks that the state funds are running low, and if they hold the celebration, it might have negative effects. So Cesar wonders if this is why the supplies are always late and low. The advisor nervously pleads with him to consider their request, but he refuses and he will not change his mind. The advisor tries to call him out that he's trying to drain the funds for his personal benefit. This is enough for him to be sentenced to execution, but Cesar stops his sidekick, saying that the victory is not his alone but belongs to all their soldiers, and it's only right that the survivors get their efforts acknowledged publicly. And he currently wonders if the advisor will lose his tongue if he doesn't convince him. He promises to ride down the alleys carrying a memorial tablet in honor of their fallen brethren. And are they opposing a ceremony to honor their fallen soldiers? He must ask the empress to consider it again. The advisor can't even form proper sentences now, as Cesar tries to put him at ease that he believes that the empress is a noble lady, but he's not sure if the families will respond kindly, especially those who have lost their sons in the war, and he should take his leave. Later, the advisor rides off and can't believe that it's only been 4 years. He seems like a changed person. The empress can't believe what she is hearing, though Canaria wonders how will she deal with the setback. As the celebration has been announced, it looks like the empress is getting worse and worse because there is a lot of meaning in this celebration. In this nation, purple is the true color of royalty, and the only time an emperor or someone other than the emperor can wear it is during a celebration. The prince will finally be wrapped in his rightful colors and will be recognized by the citizens, and it's only natural that the empress will crash out. She regrets not killing him as a child. Though Canaria can't wonder what the advisor is doing, he seems to be playing a double game and gently motions at Canaria to stop talking. As Cesar is returning earlier than in the original novel, she has been quite busy and focused, but she squeals in pain from stabbing herself trying to complete the cloak in time for the celebration. However, she is not sure what she should expect, as the story has deviated too much from the original novel and wonders why he is hurrying along. The man next to the queen is also a bit troubling. With her finger freshly bandaged, she resumes her sewing endeavor. The maid is surprised that Canaria is ready for such an outcome. She had been practicing her needlework as soon as the first prince left, and she believed in the prince's victory. While she can feel the pressure of her gaze, it's as if she is looking at the love story of a century. She smiles to herself and wonders if the prince will be happy looking at the messy cloak. She wonders if the prince will call it a beggar's gape instead. She finally decides to employ Alice for her help and wants her help in embroidery. A week before the celebration, the cloak is finally finished, though with a little help from the maid. However, she feels sad for no reason. If Cesar returns wearing this cape, she will have to leave this palace. A maid calls out to her. It seems as if she is tired, and it's not like her, so she worries. Canaria smiles, wondering if that's so. Maybe she is worn out from sewing. In reality, she has accepted her fate to get a divorce and escape from the palace. But she wonders why. After she leaves the palace, where will she go? She would still want to see Cesar every now and then. Jack looks around and is fussing over His Majesty's cloak, wondering if it looks a bit wobbly. Cesar's sidekick also says that it looks like sloppy work. They have finally received the cloak from the palace, and they can't believe how they can send something like this as a present. It's mocking their prince, and his subordinate also doubts that the princess has a hand in making this. But Cesar approaches them, recognizing her handiwork. They wonder how he can know for sure. Cesar reasons that the palace maids wouldn't have made such a mess. Instead of getting angry, he is pleased. They are confused, wondering what exactly he is looking for. It's been 4 years, and while a lot has changed, he imagines how she will greet him and smiles. He wants her to complain about her husband's tardiness and looks forward to the day they can meet again. He puts on the cloak and blushes furiously, while his subordinates are busy with their tasks. The empress is too furious, and her advisor smiles. Noah, on the other hand, is busy practicing the violin. Finally, the day is upon them when the army will return to the capital. But it turns out that Canaria has fallen ill, and Cesar's expectations to be greeted by his beloved will shatter. She tries to get ready but is too weak. She feels as if she is the victim and curses herself for being a side character, since her body is frail. She cries her eyes out. It is not like she wants to be a pro at handling magic or swords. The least she could have had was a strong body. To be sick on such an important day is frustrating, especially knowing there will be criticism all around the empire. She snores, and soon, a cold hand touches her forehead. She gently opens her eyes, still wanting to sleep. A mysterious figure is sitting by her side. After 4 days, she can finally leave her bed, and fortunately, she is awake just in time for the party. The maids hand her the dress, which is beautiful, bright, and sunny, just like her personality. Although she has tried to mask her pale hue with a bit of makeup, Canaria's older brother reprimands her for having an undercarriage bloke on her face. However, she points out that even if they are family, entering the palace unannounced is going too far. He angrily yells that she is about to be kicked out of the palace. Even though though he is getting on her nerves, she reminds herself that she is the princess and he is only a little baron. He tightens his grip on her shoulder and tells her that the king plans to void their marriage and marry the prince into the duke's family instead. He says the situation has changed and the prince no longer needs the black sheep of their family. He is now the son the king holds most dear. The constant yapping becomes too much for Canaria and she wants to smack some sense into her brother, although she tries to act with restraint. There is not a single decent person in her family. He continues to complain about the marriage being void and then suddenly smiles, telling her she needs to get knocked up. If she is with a child, the prince will not chase her out. She must do it for her sake. Canaria tells him to stop because he is being as greedy as a dog. The young baron is taken aback by how informal the princess is. She finally reveals the truth that he is only worried they will lose the precious title of being in-laws to the royal family. They are not worried about her at all. They only care about losing the prestige of being related to the queen. She turns away and says she is not interested, and if the prince wants a divorce, she will accept it. He tries to reason with her, saying she will end up in a monastery and that she needs to ensnare the prince. However, she has already accepted her role as a villainess for as long as she remains in this world. Most importantly, she cannot stop Cesar from being happy. Her brother then concludes that maybe she is having problems with her body and says all of this is too much for her. She wants to tell him to shut up, but instead, she feels like crying. As her brother is about to strike her, someone suddenly grabs his arm and says they do not need advice about their marital affairs. She sees Cesar standing there in the flesh and the baron's face turns as white as a can of milk. Cesar looks at him with cold eyes and the man immediately collapses. He tells the baron to take his leave. The baron runs away and finally the two beloved meet face to face after 4 years. Although Cesar has grown a lot, perhaps due to a growth spurt, tears begin to pool in Canaria's eyes. She quickly turns away to stop Cesar from seeing them. However, Cesar gently wraps his arms around her and tells her that he is back. Cesar gently wraps his arms around her delicate shoulders as she apologizes for not making it to the celebration, and he tells her not to worry about it since her brother's words are still troubling her. She asks Cesar to let go of her, but instead, he squeezes her face, surprising her, and she wonders how she can lie sick in bed while he has been working himself to death. He teases her that she looks sick, yet she still looks better, and Canaria realizes that Cesar was the one checking on her during her bedridden phase. She points at him and teases him about how he can touch someone while they are sleeping, and this causes the poor prince to look away bashfully and feign ignorance. Nevertheless, she smiles and says that she cannot mistake him for anyone else since maybe he really was worried about her. He tries to act cool by insisting that he was not worried, but no matter how cool he tries to look, Canaria finds him cute. Then Cesar wonders whether she is feeling well now and also questions her choice of makeup by asking why it is so over-applied. He looks at his hand and sees that it is caked with powder. He wonders whether it is because she is pale due to her sickness, and she angrily yells that she is as pale as a bone and that is why she slapped on such heavy makeup. He points at her face upon noticing her makeup being smeared, and she realizes that it is because of her little crying session. He tells her to redo her makeup lightly and naturally if she can, but this embarrasses Canaria and she wants to apply it heavily to mask her poor health. Cesar, however, insists that her bare face is more than enough because in reality she looks pretty without any makeup, yet she still disagrees politely. The stars are shining brightly and inside the mansion everyone is looking cautiously at Canaria. She feels everyone's gaze on her and looks away in embarrassment since to the crowd they are not simply the royal couple celebrating Cesar's return from war, but a prince who has returned with a new title and a soon-to-be divorced wife by his side. Everyone is in for the kicks and holding their breath. She jokes that it has been a while since they have been together, and he replies coolly that she is right. Moreover, for the past 4 years, Noah has been by her side, and she is glad that he was not engaged to anyone. A voice calls out to His Majesty excitedly, and Cesar looks at them in surprise since it is his mercenary crew, his closest knights. His green-haired psychic bows respectfully, and Canaria relaxes a bit upon seeing some familiar faces. Jack, on the other hand, jokes that now he really looks the part as the prince since he is all dressed up. Cesar warns him that he will be charged with slander against the imperial family, but Jack just laughs it off. Miller then asks him who the lady is beside him, and for the first time, he formally introduces Canaria as his wife. Miller looks at her in surprise and is honored to meet her. They exchange pleasantries and Canaria is a bit nervous. Even Jack is surprised since he thought she would not attend on account of missing the ceremony, and he wonders whether the banquet was too much for her to miss. Canaria cries internally as everyone judges her. Miller then recalls what happened 9 years ago when Cesar broke his promise to meet them to tend to some urgent matters, and Jack gasps in surprise upon realizing she is the girl he was holding hands with. Canaria wonders whether they are talking about their little outing, and Cesar, on the other hand, is flustered upon realizing they have been pretending not to know. Miller apologizes by telling him that he is adorable and cannot help himself. Canaria notices how close they are since they are a tight-knit group, and Miller is more of a fatherly figure to Cesar than the emperor. They then ask him to accompany them, and Cesar asks Canaria whether it is all right if he goes. Canaria teases him by saying that if she were a 10-year-old she would be fine and he should go. As he turns to leave, Canaria waves at him, but in truth, she is not okay being by herself. Everyone is staring her to death, so she tries to divert her mind by indulging in a few sweet treats. A voice asks her what she is looking around for and why she looks so down. She tries to see Noah standing nearby with his charismatic smile and blonde hair, the textbook definition of Prince Charming. But to Canaria, he is an annoying little brother. She wonders why she cannot enjoy herself with some treats. Everyone looks at them skeptically, wondering why they have such a good relationship. Maybe it is because Canaria is backed by the Empress, or perhaps they have something more going on than a collaboration. Canaria hears these hurtful words and tells Noah not to mind them. However, Noah bursts out that he cannot help it because it touches Canaria deeply, and she angrily wonders how in the world they can be slandered like this. He also teases her that he has preferences and that she does not fit the bill. Canaria pinches his face by calling him a baby in her eyes, and someone teases her for physically touching Noah. They decide to move out of the spotlight. Cesar, however, had told her to wait, and Canaria decided it should be fine. Cesar is looking around for Canaria, angrily wondering if that woman can ever listen since she still can't be found. He hears people gossiping about her relationship with the second prince and how they acted that way despite her husband's return. How unbecoming. Everyone is talking about their fractured relationship. Cesar spots a mop of pink hair amid the crowd and finally reaches her, only to find Canaria dancing with Noah. He stops in his tracks, slumps into a nearby chair, and facepalms himself as he wonders what she feels. A voice asks what he is doing here and whether he is done talking. Cesar is troubled, so he looks away. Meanwhile, Canaria wonders what it is all about. She asks him why he is so pouty and reaches for his hand, saying that she is going to the terrace now and they should go together. He wonders if she plans to propose there, and she asks what he means by that. Cesar reminds her that it is the same terrace where they stood just before he went to war. Canaria remembers and teases him for crying that day. She realizes that she needs to back off because if she pushes him, he'll sulk again. Fireworks light up the sky beautifully, and they look up in amazement. She tells Cesar to watch the display, and he indeed looks. The fireworks paint his face in multicolored hues, and to Canaria, he looks like her Prince Charming. She whispers that it feels as if he is truly back, even though she fears this might be the end of her reign as royal princess. Cesar whispers that it all feels surreal. He admits that back then he did not want to go to the battlefield and even tried to renegotiate with the Empress, offering to give up the throne and live quietly. Canaria wonders why he did not follow through. Cesar smiles and ruffles her hair, saying that it is all in the past, although he still has unfinished business. Canaria realizes that the imperial throne remains under the Empress's control and that the real battle is yet to come. Cesar tilts his head, remembering how he fought for his life among barbarians and vowed to return no matter what. He smiles, and Canaria's heart skips a beat. She wonders whether it was revenge on the princess that drove him, but she cannot hear his thoughts. It seems that Cesar has finally freed himself from a great burden. Canaria smiles sadly as they walk away, wondering if she can breathe more easily now that he is back. A voice asks an advisor about the Council of Elders. His advisor replies that the Parlam family is dominant, and in the House of Commons the Parlam family is strong. This man is Duke Lancaster, Gracie's father. His Imperial Highness realizes that the council is on the Parlam family's side, and if the first prince succeeds the throne, they will not stand idle. He asks Sir Lancaster if it is possible to join hands with a man of lower class and win the hearts of the masses. Would he like to straighten it out? A tie that they couldn't make years ago. This This blonde and middle-aged man is the Emperor, Dietrich. The Sun Palace is where the Empress resides, and only those with authority can enter his throne room. And for the first time, Cesar is allowed. As the crown prince, the Emperor greets him courteously, and his birth mother is sitting by his side. Gracie is also sitting by the Emperor and wonders why is she in a place of royalty. He wonders if they know each other, and Gracie shakes her head that they indeed do. The Emperor tells the crown prince that the tie originally in his mind was to choose Gracie as his fiancée. But the tie could never be made, though they look good together. He asks Cesar's mother what she thinks, and she of course agrees. He finally lets the cat out of the bag that he wants to remake the match, and this shocks Cesar. Gracie looks a bit troubled, reminding them of his present wife. The Emperor presents the solution to be divorced, as his original wife doesn't have the makings of a queen. She is only a puppet, dancing to the Empress's tune. Caesar, on the other hand, boldly says that she has yet to make many mistakes if they drive out her. But the Emperor calls him soft. He tells her that they can slander her with adultery while he is gone to the capital. But this infuriates Caesar, and he slams his hands on the tabletop, causing everyone to swallow. He tells them that it hasn't even been a month since he's been back. Can't they let this problem go unattended for a bit more time? The Emperor agrees, saying that today they will celebrate his return and he should enjoy the feast. Later, in the training halls, Caesar asks Gracie what she thinks about the marriage proposal, and she says it's as if his mind has already been made up. Caesar wants to be honest and he is not too sure about the proposal. Gracie is glad that they are on the same page, as she feels the same. She asks Caesar if he knows why she doesn't have a fiancé or husband. Though Caesar has wondered about it, he felt it rude to ask. She tells him that it's all because of him. The moment her father caught news of his victory, he set his plan into motion to make him emperor, and for him to marry her. Cesar cautions her to say things like these in the Sun Palace, but she doesn't care and finds it interesting. Cesar is happy that Gracie is back, and he's happy that she's back. She doesn't care and finds it interesting, and teases that if her father knew that she has no plans to marry him, he would pass out. Cesar wonders if she's trying to be funny, but she's dead serious and plans to tell her father soon that she has no intentions of marrying the crown prince. Cesar looks at her in surprise. He also felt that she had a hidden nature, and this might be her truest form. He realizes that she has been putting on an act up till now, and Gracie laughs, saying that it was all a lie, and he might be disappointed to know what she's truly like. But to Cesar, her natural personality is more pleasing. Gracie laughs, saying that they are very alike. She remembers Canaria's words, encouraging her to become the Duke herself, but she tells him there's nothing, and he will be seeing her again, as they might be compatible partners in the future, though Cesar is left wondering what partners mean. A maid informs him that the carriage has been prepared. Will he be going to his palace, but he decides to go to Canaria's palace first? Canaria sits alone by the pond, fishing for a magicarp, though it is a bit tiring to wait for it to take the bait. Earlier this morning, a woman had been hollering at her, yelling, "How can you be drinking tea after hearing that you've been invited to the royal palace? You must never go through with the divorce." The crazy woman turns out to be her mother in this world, and Canaria sighs as she wonders why her house is full of greed. She feels down in the dumps, worrying about her uncertain future, but the maid tries to cheer her on by insisting that the prince must remain loyal and will not let anyone dictate his love life. Canaria wonders what the maid is on about, since she is simply sighing because of her greedy family. The maid goes on and on about how amazing Canaria is and warns that the prince will be remembered as a cruel ruler if he dumps her. Then Cesar arrives and apologizes for not declining the king's direct invitation to the palace. The maid freezes in shock, and Canaria wonders how he knew she was there. The maid faints, and they lay her on a makeshift bed. Canaria tells Cesar that she wants to fish, even though the pond has no fish to speak of. Cesar wonders why she is so relaxed, and she replies that if he lives in the present, he will live a long life, but if he lives in a hurry, he won't survive long. He agrees, since that advice is better than crying and whining. Canaria wonders what he is on about, but then her fishing line tugs and she yelps excitedly as something strong pulls on her line. She wonders whether it could be a Gyarados. Just as she is about to plunge into the water, Cesar wraps his arms around her waist, warning that it is dangerous. Canaria feels a bit sad about losing her fishing rod. Cesar notices her pout and asks why she looks fine if she feels sad. He says that if she needs to let her feelings out, she should do so. Canaria wonders what he means, and he reveals that he is talking about Gracie, who has been invited to the banquet. Canaria realizes that Cesar thinks she is upset and assures him that she is not. She admits that Lady Lancaster must be beautiful, which infuriates Cesar. He stands up straight with shaky eyes and asks whether she will stay calm if he tells her the truth. Canaria says that Gracie is beautiful, and surprisingly, Cesar sighs in relief. At least he has proper taste, she teases as she pats him on the shoulder. Then, even though Cesar wonders if she is still upset, Canaria surprises him by saying that they will make a good pair and will look good together. After that day, they haven't seen each other for 4 days straight, and Canaria can't wrap her head around why Cesar would act like this. They've been at odds before, but it's the first time he looked so hurt. She tries to evaluate her actions and picks out the secret notebook in which she wrote the story so that she doesn't forget it. Though she's different from the original Canaria, for the past 10 years, she's been building her relationship with Cesar so that she doesn't get executed, and he will need to work with Lancaster to defeat the Empress. There'll be easier ways to ally with them, though she wonders why. He should be happy that she brought up the divorce, so why is he acting like this? But she also recalls Cesar arriving 1 year later in the original story, and she brought up the divorce early. She wonders if she can stay by his side a bit longer. A knock interrupts her train of thought, and she is told that there is a guest. She wonders who could it be. It turns out it is Gracie. She nervously asks her the reason for her visit. She smiles, saying that she is on her way to visit the Empress and wanted to stop by. She must have something to talk to her. Canaria realizes that she needs to speak up, but surprisingly, Gracie breaks the ice by telling her that the prince did not want to divorce her, and this shocks her. She laughs and tells her that she is only repeating the words she heard in the palace. Canaria can't believe what she is hearing. He is worried about her. Maybe it's because he is a right-guess prince, but Gracie tells her that she doesn't plan to marry the prince. This surprises her more. Isn't she interested in becoming the Empress? Gracie teases her about how can she think about replacing the Empress when the Emperor is still alive. When the Emperor is still alive, she finally reveals that the Empress was not from this palace. The current Emperor cut everyone off, even his siblings, after the coronation, and as His Majesty couldn't make his son Emperor, he abandoned him. Canaria recalls hearing the tale, and that's why the Empress was trying to make Noah the new Emperor. Gracie tells her that she is not interested in such a high-stakes position and can't be a pawn in this political chessboard. What she wants is her own power that no one can steal away. Canaria can't wonder what she is getting at, but Gracie smiles, saying that she wants to shine with her own abilities, not because of her husband or son. And does she know why she is thinking this way? Canaria uncertainly wonders if she knows, but why is she telling her everything? Gracie smiles, saying that she wants to let her know in advance. She has no intentions to marry the prince, and it must be nice to save her seat, so she should know that they are on the same side. Canaria, on the other hand, wonders if she knows she doesn't want the divorce. She bursts out, saying that they can't be on the same side. She was going to live peacefully in a small town with the money from divorce and doesn't want the Empress seat so other ladies can take it. Though to Gracie, she is a cute little girl. Canaria tries to storm off, but Gracie tells her that they will meet again. Later, Gracie is greeted by her cousin, and she wonders when he arrived. He replies that he has some things to discuss, and it's a relief to see her before he leaves. She wonders if it's because of the first prince, and he agrees, as her father wants to make him the heir to their family after her marriage. Though it's just typical of her cousin to think that she is not after her father's seat, he asks her what happened at the prince's palace and how far along is she to marry the prince. But Gracie tells him that the prince has no intentions to marry her, though he can't imagine anyone denying her, and it's a marriage born out of necessity, so she doesn't need to pay any mind. It's also nice that she is getting close to the first prince, but this infuriates her, and she tries to backpedal. He nervously says that there is talk of her being close to the princess, and she realizes that crazy talk is going around the town. She can't understand how a rumor so wild can spread around, and she vows to catch the one responsible and give them a beating of their lifetime. The cousin tells her that it's late, and he will have to be on his way, though they will meet again. As he leaves, Gracie vows not to accept his position easily. After all, she doesn't want to marry the prince, and she won't go down without a fight. The sun shines cheerfully, and someone is scribbling furiously. On a piece of paper, his sidekick wonders why Cesar has been down after visiting the Sun Palace. Cesar, on the other hand, is replaying his conversation with Canaria over and over again, how she wanted to get divorced so he can be happy. He can't believe his ears and is scribbling, making a mess on official documents. His advisor asks him him if something is the matter, and Cesar says it's not about him. It happened to someone he knows, and does he want to hear it? When he returned from 4 years of battles, his wife suddenly brought up a divorce, and why would she say that? In the blink of an eye, his soldier recognizes that this is his own life story, and the rumors about the divorce are spreading like wildfire. On top of that, he has been invited along with the lady from the Lancaster family to the Sun Palace. He tries to voice his opinions, but Jack beats him to it, saying that she is just wearing her shoes backward. Cesar wonders what he means by such an idiotic phrase. Jack explains that it's the slang popular among soldiers when partners cheat while the soldier is away. A fellow soldier received a breakup letter from his lover and was crying and making a scene. That's what they call it. But his sidekick is terrified that Jack doesn't know he's talking about Her Royal Highness. Cesar snaps the pencil in his agony as Jack continues to yap that people change, feelings change, and 4 years is a long time to be alone. So Cesar can't accept it. Jack, on the other hand, wonders if he can ask his servants to do something, if there was another man or something, but Cesar whispers there was no man. All of a sudden, he recalls the slander from the party, the gossip about the princess and the second prince. But he tries to put his suspicions away. Their relationship has always been good, and Noah's just taking care of Canaria in his place, and he knows how kind he is. Jack, on the other hand, wonders if he's talking about Her Highness, and if that's it, that's great. It would be good if they got a divorce. Cesar, on the other hand, tells him to get out. He turns to leave and wonders why the prince is so hard on him. His trusty advisor looks at him and wonders if he can say something. Though he is not convinced that Canaria is someone to be trusted, when he was back at the palace to relay his message, he realized something after meeting her. She is incredibly selfless, who never thinks of herself or her words, though they may not be from her heart, but it might be the reason why she is going to such extreme measures. Maybe he should hear her real thoughts. Cesar realizes that his mind went blank after he heard her saying that she wanted a divorce. His advisor bows and reminds him not to do something he will regret. Cesar hurriedly grabs his coat and promises to finish his paperwork later. He runs away, wanting to meet Canaria, though he is not convinced that she is someone to be trusted. However, someone asks him what he is doing in such a hurry. It's not the other Canaria. He is a bit troubled to see her, and she whispers that she is just here to hang out. It's the weekend after all, and the weather is great. How can he go to the palace on a day like this? They should go outside. Cesar wonders where, and she doesn't know, but she promises to think of a destination once they are out. She smiles and wonders if he will accompany her. Canaria can't believe that she still chose to come to the palace. She also wonders why Gracie is refusing to marry the prince. This is too confusing. Maybe she brought the divorce talk too early, and they need to settle it. Suddenly, she comes face to face with Jack and recognizes him as one of the knights by her husband's side. She wonders why he is working even though it's his day off and it's a Sunday. He cocks his head in confusion, saying that there is no day off at the palace. This infuriates Canaria. How can there be work throughout the week? He tells her that the prince hasn't had any rest since they returned to the palace, and Canaria can't help but wonder if Cesar is an evil CEO and a good leader who should give his followers a break. She tells him to take a break, and though she knows that he is a workaholic, it seems to be getting worse. She decides to drag him outside as the weather is simply lovely. She sees him walk off in a hurry and wonders where he is going. She wants to teach him how to have fun. The beautiful city looms into view, and Cesar wonders where they are going. Canaria, on the other hand, tells him to trust her. She looks around excitedly. First, they hit a restaurant and ended up renting it whole. They try a wide variety of delectable cuisine, and Cesar wonders if she likes it. She replies that she does. She then looks over a bouquet, then has a pot of tea with Cesar. They decide to head back, but Canaria wonders why. Cesar wonders what they should do, as they've already eaten and have nothing to do anymore. Canaria tells him that the sun is still out. Going back early means working, and Cesar looks away guiltily. Canaria raises her hand excitedly, saying that they will go shopping, though Cesar reasons that they can buy clothes from inside the palace because royalty tend to send their orders directly to the shops and choose from a catalog. But Canaria tells him that it's fun to pick it out themselves, and she will show him a fun way of shopping. Cesar reasons that they are already at a clothes shop, and it turns out it is Gracie's shop. He doesn't want to have fun at her shop. Canaria clasps his hand, saying that they will go to another shop, and Cesar smiles to himself, wondering if this is Canaria getting jealous. A cashier attends to them, introducing herself as the head designer of the shop. She then leads them to the men's clothing section, as Canaria wants to choose a present for His Highness. She hurriedly leads the way, though Cesar is surprised that she's not here for her own clothes. Canaria says that she's here to teach him how to have fun, and the best way is to buy stuff for himself. A wide variety of neckties and suits are laid out, and Cesar wonders if he will have to try them all out. Canaria pushes him into a changing room, telling him to have a go at it. They will know what color suits him best. She ushers him into the room and tells the maid to bring out the woman's catalog while she waits. She then smiles to herself and sings her favorite tune. Cesar asks her to bring him a shirt, as he forgot. She spots the shirt a few feet away and decides to take it to him. She gently peeks through the curtain and looks at Cesar's back full of scars. She freezes for a moment, and Cesar notices her hesitation. He wonders why she is here instead of the shopkeeper. Canaria tries to respond normally that she's out to get something. She closes the curtain abruptly and pinches the hem of the curtains, troubled by what she has seen. Cesar dons a pristine white suit, but is not sure if it fits him well, though Canaria likes it very much and decides to have it tailored to his size. Cesar, on the other hand, starts blushing under the compliment showering on him. He decides to change into something else, and Canaria whispers that he's a cutie. The shopkeeper is glad to see that they are doing well, as there are a lot of rumors floating around. She quickly catches her breath and apologizes for saying something rude, but Canaria tells her that it's fine, it might be true. Cesar then dons a pinstripe suit with Michael Caesarson's hat. Talk about looking sharp. He then puts on a royal blue cloak, and surprisingly, everything suits His Highness. The maid promises to deliver the orders once they are tailored. Canaria asks him if he had fun, though Cesar insists that next time they're here, they should buy her some clothes. Canaria looks away nervously, wondering if there will be a next time. Cesar notices her hesitation and asserts that they will come here next time, no matter what. Canaria looks away sadly and tells him that they will if they get the chance. She decides that they should go for dinner next, though Cesar wonders why they shouldn't go back to the palace. Canaria angrily tells him that they will watch a concert after they eat. She already has the tickets on her, but Cesar nervously points out that it will already be midnight when they get back. So that's her plan, and they will go along with it even if she has to force him, because if they get back early, he will go right back to work. Cesar looks away guilty as always. Canaria softly asks him if his battle was hard. Cesar wonders why she is bringing up the topic. Canaria tells him that he can relax a little and live. He's not at the battlefield anymore, and looking away for a moment won't result in death. He doesn't need to be on his guard all the time. Though Cesar mistakes her concern for reassurance about their relationship, in reality, Canaria is talking about how, with the help of the Lancaster family, he will finally rid himself of the Empress's influence and succeed on the throne. Eventually, there will be nothing in this world that can hurt him, so she tells him to live a long and enjoyable life full of hobbies. Secretly, she thinks that even if she is not there, these words touch Cesar deeply, and they ride off for a night full of fun. They're finally back at the palace, and Canaria wonders if today was fun. Cesar replies that indeed it was. She pats him on his shoulder, telling him that whenever he's stressed out or burned out, he can go and have fun, though Cesar tells her to wait. He apologizes for the other day for shouting and leaving. Canaria also apologizes. Cesar believes that she must have a reason for saying those things, and though he's not asking for answers, he will be patiently waiting for them. He smiles at the moonlight. Just like how she has believed in him, she should know that he believes in her. Though Canaria is confused as to why the story is deviating so wildly from the original novel, she decides to hold her silence. Cesar decides that they should turn in for the night, though Canaria almost blurted out that she is from another world and she knows everything that's going to happen in the future. Cesar walks away after having a shower. He looks at his documents, realizing that now that the war is over, there are a lot of things he needs to tend to. First up, he needs to decide what to do about the mining rights, how to distribute the spoils of war, and how to deal with the Lancasters. He closes his eyes and focuses on the silence surrounding him. After all, he was on a brutal battlefield where one small mistake could result in thousands of deaths. In a moment of carelessness, he had also died, but he persevered with one burning desire to keep him alive, to return as he had promised. Bloodied and bruised, he walked on, and he imagined his battle-weary body facing Canaria, who was telling him that he was no longer on the battlefield and that it was okay to live a life of peace now. He feels as if his battle-hardened exterior is shattering away to reveal what he truly is like. He lies on his bed and feels as if he can relax for the first time, and he decides to take a little break. Immediately, he dozes off. The maid arrives, telling Canaria that this is a present from the crowned prince. It is beautifully wrapped and gives the impression that the prince is charming. Everyone looks at Canaria in envy, telling her to open it up. On the other hand, she is a bit nervous. She looks at the beautiful turquoise fabric harboring a dazzling pendant and wonders if this is really something picked by Cesar. Her fellow noble ladies can sense that His Highness has put a lot of thought into it. However, to Canaria, Cesar is clueless about picking gifts out for women and is the type of guy who goes for the most expensive thing or the prettiest and biggest diamond. But the other noble ladies are green with envy, wishing that they had a fiancé like him. And how? Cesar is a gem of a person for putting such thought into his gift, while their husbands ask their secretaries to do everything. Canaria wonders if Cesar is responsible for the card inside the gift. She looks at it, and it says that he just bought something he saw. She laughs to herself and finds it adorable. The other woman, on the other hand, wonders what the prince wrote to make her laugh. Canaria wants it to be a secret between the two of them, since everyone views Cesar as a stoic prince not to be messed with. Though they mistake it as a romantic exchange between the two lovers, Canaria just laughs it off. The day before, Cesar had gone to a jewelry shop, pointing at a diamond and immediately picking it out, but he's advised that it looks like something Canaria will return without a moment's notice. Cesar wonders if this is that bad, and his attendant agrees. After all, he's a person with much experience being the errand boy of all the ladies. Cesar, on the other hand, wonders if choosing the most expensive gift is that bad. There's a huge diamond in the center, so it must be good. Ice must always be in demand, and the chain is also as thick as what rappers sling. However, the errand boy tells him that he's wrong. Ladies nowadays go for dainty jewelry, something sleek. Cesar, on the other hand, finds his choice a bit lackluster, but he asks His Highness to trust him and wishes to suggest something else. He explains that the prince will be holding a tea party with the young ladies of the court, so he should send it back. But Cesar finds it weird to send a present during an event. The errand boy explains that it will make the princess feel supported. If she receives a big present in the presence of other ladies, the princess will stand out, and that is how they can move in high society. He will be a beloved husband. Cesar's face turns as red as a beetroot. The mention of love is enough to make the battle-hardened prince fall to his knees. After all, it's the only thing he's been yearning for all his life. Canaria, on the other hand, smiles, thinking that he's all grown up to give her such a thoughtful present. Cesar, on the other hand, is busy writing notes to be a more supportive husband. Cesar looks at his kingdom, and a voice calls him out. It turns out it's Noah in the flesh, and Cesar wonders if something is wrong. Why is he here? Noah reminds him that the three of them used to come here all the time, and Cesar remembers. He didn't think that Noah was the kind to brood over old memories, but Cesar points to his left, asking him if he can see the palace with the red roof. Noah wonders if it is pointing at the shabby little palace. He asks him if he knows that his ghost lives there. Though Cesar wonders if that's true, he speaks as if he has seen it, but Noah unexpectedly says that he has. As a child, he was playing hide and seek and accidentally entered the palace. After that, his visits became a secret since men are banned from entering the palace. In reality, it is the late emperor's tomb. Cesar also agrees, saying that the place gives him the spooks, though is he sure it's a real ghost? Noah agrees, saying it's very useful and beautiful. He recalls looking for a place to hide while playing a game, crawling through a bunch of bushes and seeing a beautiful woman with silvery hair flowing down her delicate shoulders. She smiled, calling him a cute kid and asking him if he was lost. The woman is living as a ghost, and gradually they get closer, sharing stories. She is from a western nomad tribe and the chief's youngest daughter. Her people were forced to marry her off to the empire as a tribute, and that was back when she was 12 years old. There were a lot of beautiful women for the emperor back in the day, their own harem, and no one would remember that she was here as tribute. In the end, she would die or be forgotten when the emperor drew his last breath. Since then, she has been confined to the palace, imprisoned, unable to do anything but lay there waiting for her death. She is nothing but a ghost. Cesar recalls Canaria entering their marriage at 12 years old, and if he had been killed on the battlefield, he shakes his head, trying to rid himself of these negative thoughts. He decides to request the emperor to allow her family to visit her, but Noah replies that she is already dead. She unalived herself years ago, and he's sorry for bringing up this topic. Noah clenches his fist and wonders about his mother. Maybe she was acting like that because she didn't want to end up like her. Maybe the empress is not so greedy. After all, she wouldn't survive in the imperial family if she wasn't brutal. And maybe now, that's her new personality, her only way to live. He collapses on his knees, saying that he doesn't want to fight him over the throne and has no interest in succeeding it. He just wants to leave the imperial palace. Noah is completely broken and is at a loss for words, though Cesar reveals that it's the same for him. In the past, he wanted to cast everything away and make a run for it, and he could do so. But now, he has someone to protect. Cesar looks away firmly as Noah realizes he is talking about Canaria. Cesar calls his brother a kind child to the empress and Canaria and him. He pats his head and tells him that he also has things to protect and needs to think carefully. Then he'll know what to do. Noah still can't decide how to act and starts throwing a tantrum that he feels as if he's torn between his mother and his wife, though Cesar wonders if he's being referred to as the wife. The two brothers share a laugh, and Noah says that he's glad he's back, though they don't know what the future holds for them. They view each other with love, and the silver-haired attendant hears their talk from a distance. He reports it back to the empress, and the empress wonders if she's been greedy, but he tells her not to worry too much. Noah will understand her reasons someday. The empress looks away and hopes that he does. Even if Cesar becomes the emperor, at least she won't lose her head. Instead, she will be exiled, a passing name in the empire's long history, and she wants to unalive herself and end it on her terms. She commands her attendant, who accepts. Cesar activates his ultra instinct and narrowly dodges a projectile. It turns out it's an arrow, and though there have been plenty of rebels in his life, it still shakes him a little. His sidekick asks him if he's all right, though Cesar is unfazed. The rebellion is becoming more fierce after his return, maybe because he has set his mind to be emperor, and they are trying to end him before he gets into the seat of power. He wonders about his weakness and finally realizes that there is one they can exploit. His sidekick wonders if they should increase the number of guards and deploy the military in the palace, but Cesar tells him to send some knights to Canaria's palace as well, though he wonders why and what about him. Cesar tells him that he is strong on his own, so it should be all right. According to the prince, the guards arrive, pledging their loyalty to protect the princess. Ethan is the knight chosen for this task, and Canaria finds him adorable. She asks Ethan how old he is, and he nervously replies he's 18 years old. She smiles, trying to tease him with a little aura of fun time, though a voice interrupts her playful exchange. Someone is screaming her name like an Asian mom in a farmer's market. Canaria realizes it can be none other than her brother. He angrily yells at her, wondering why she is not replying to his letters. Canaria remembers viewing his letter full of yapping and throwing it away. She nervously tries to defuse the situation. She tells him not to come around without notice, but he once again tries to raise his hand. Someone strides in and he wonders who the hell it is. Ethan steps in front of Her Highness. Canaria lets him know that this is her personal knight. Her brother doesn't care and tries to smack him away, but this infuriates Canaria. On the other hand, Miller wonders how Ethan is doing back at the palace. He is a capable yet foolish guy. Though his fellow isn't worried about his duty as a knight, he fears how easily he can lose control when he gets angry. Sure enough, Ethan bears his sword in front of Canaria's disgusting brother, but Canaria tells him not to kill her brother. Ethan, on the other hand, doesn't plan to let it go, viewing it as an act of harm against Her Highness. A storm is brewing behind his eyes, and Canaria remembers reading in the novel that a faithful subordinate by Cesar's side was exceptional at battles, breaking through the enemy camp all alone and wiping them out. That man was none other than Ethan. It turns out that Cesar has sent her a human weapon. She grabs his arm and promises to reply to her brother's letter, trying to send him away. Though Ethan calls him a stray dog and orders him to go away, the spineless little coward sulks off. Canaria asks Ethan to promise not to draw his sword so easily. Ethan looks away and apologizes, but Canaria doesn't want his apology. She clarifies that she is just worried about him. After all, he's still a baron related to the royal family, and a knight who tries to strike him would be stripped of his rank and expelled from the palace. She asks him if he plans to work in the palace. Ethan is speechless as Canaria bows, apologizing for her brother's actions. Though the royal palace is full of such buffoons, she wants him to be careful. Ethan is touched touched and recalls Cesar asking him to guard the princess. Secretly, he wants to find out if the woman is good for him or not, and plans to take matters into his own hands even if he would be punished later on. He recalls Cesar extending a hand of kindness when he had decided to give up his life, and from today onwards, he will be by her side no matter who she stands against. Later, they partake in a wide variety of tasty treats, and that's the only time Ethan looks like an 18-year-old instead of a super soldier. A mysterious figure asks his followers if the progress is going along smoothly. A maid relays that Cesar is difficult to approach because his guards are vigilant, and the figure has expected this much. He asks about Canaria. The maid hands him a book, saying that this is something written by her, but it's in a language they don't know. The ethereal figure wonders what is behind the cold. He only views her as someone enjoying a leisurely style on behalf of the empress. But is she hiding something? Maybe he should ask things in person. A voice wonders about their responsibilities because Canaria is still in a high-stakes squid game at the royal palace. The empress wonders if Canaria knows who Julia Persine is. Canaria tries to be cheerful, saying it's the lady she plans to have Noah marry, the count's daughter, if she's not wrong. She's trying her best not to lose the empress's favor. Julia is the daughter of a noble family, and the empress plans to fix her marriage with her son, but Canaria can't believe that her adorable little Noah is going to get married. The empress tells her to visit him and then go to Julia. As her ally, she must meet with the girl and create a relationship instead of her, and that will be helpful. Behind her request is a serious twist. She wants to show the world that Canaria ranks lower than Noah's future wife. There's nothing Canaria can do but bow her head like a good little girl and dance to her tune. A maid arrives and, in a sense of urgency, tells her that Ethan is needed by Cesar's side. Ethan promises to find others to escort her, but Canaria reassures him that she'll be fine. Ethan spots Jack and views him as a waste of space. He yanks him over to the princess, though he complains about what he is doing all of a sudden. Ethan presents Jack as her new escort, and Canaria accepts it graciously, though it's a bit troublesome. Ethan dashes into the throne room, asking His Majesty what's the matter, though Miller wonders why he is here. Miller asks how his job as a bodyguard is. He explains that he left it to Jack and they shouldn't worry. But where is Cesar? Miller wonders if he heard that His Highness needs him, and Cesar replies that he didn't need him. He's surrounded by books and his friends. This is the closest he can get to his happy place. He explains that he's trying to think of something. Cesar's sidekick wonders if the attendant made a mistake and Ethan should return to his original task. Ethan bows respectfully and takes his leave. Cesar is surrounded by books. He's still in search of a solution to resolve the issues regarding his marriage. A way to ally with the Lancasters without marrying, and he is still at a loss. He lacks the power to protect his dear ones. Ethan, on the other hand, wonders if Canaria is safe. She should be at the mansion by now, and though he's away, Jack should be doing a good job protecting her. He also wonders how he should proceed. Should he trust Canaria or not? He recalls her kindness and zooms towards a horse rider, asking him to borrow his horse. The whole affair with the wrong message is too weird for him to ignore, and he gallops at breakneck speed. At the mansion, Canaria is enjoying a spot of tea. A beautiful raven-haired woman is sitting beside her. Even though they're both beauties and part of the royal family, they don't have much common ground to talk. They have no similar interests, and Canaria tries her best to keep the conversation flowing, but she just can't. Her host apologizes for being an introvert, saying people always say that she is a drag to deal with. With tears in her eyes, she apologizes. Though Canaria wonders if this is something worth crying over, she wonders what she should do and how she should tackle the situation. After Julia begins to whimper, Canaria is at a loss for words. She slowly stands and moves closer, offering Julia a tissue as she asks whether it is so important to be the life of the party. After all, activities designed for high society can be a drag, and she tells Julia it is best to view them as acting, overacting in some cases. Canaria looks away nonchalantly and admits that people are not always fun to deal with at parties, which is why she forces herself to participate. Julia stares in amazement and wonders whether Canaria is another odd bird. She complains that people find her boring. Canaria smiles with the brilliance of 1,000 suns and says that it is normal since she also escapes to the terrace whenever she finds the opportunity. Moreover, if the food is as bad as the company, then it is truly a disaster. Julia agrees wholeheartedly and follows Canaria to the terrace. Canaria recalls the best spot in the royal banquet hall, and the two speak in unison at the end of the north terrace on the second floor. Their eyes light up as they finally find common ground and they burst into laughter. Canaria has found a kindred spirit and jokes that if they do not hurry, someone else will claim the spot. Julia observes that Canaria seems cheerful, yet Canaria wonders whether she really is. Julia smiles and confesses that this is the first time she has laughed so openly, especially with someone new. Before parting, Julia offers to dine together another day, since Canaria taught her how to pretend to enjoy a party. Feeling relieved that Noah's future wife is kind despite her innocence, Canaria turns to leave and comes face to face with Noah, who is a bit shaken as he hides something behind his back. Canaria explains that she has been summoned by the empress, yet she spots a bouquet hidden just behind him and steps closer. In a panic, Noah stutters that he is there because of his mother, yet since he brought a bouquet, he must be fully grown. Canaria laughs and teases him for growing up and even being ready to marry. Noah retorts that she married at 12 herself, which takes Canaria's thoughts back to when Cesar was a brat of 12 and Noah was a sweet child. Now they are adults and time has flown. Canaria teases him about the time he asked to share a room with her, recalling childhood memories and how he first heard of the room-sharing ceremony. This remark rubs Jack and the attendant the wrong way. Noah looks away in embarrassment, which only makes Canaria tease him more. She continues her teasing until Jack wonders what they are talking about, and the attendant fuels the gossip by suggesting that Canaria might be betraying her husband behind his back. They concede that Canaria has turned the night upside down. Meanwhile, Ethan stands under the tent in confusion. He hears two thugs nearby whispering about when the carriage will arrive and that the plan must have changed. One thug reveals they are simply waiting, yet they look at Ethan in surprise and wonder who he is. Ethan adopts an innocent expression and asks if they are thieves planning something bad, which angers one of the thugs. The other thug whispers that Ethan is a stunner who could fetch a pretty penny on the slave market. They move closer, plotting to make him their next slave. Ethan turns the tables and beats them to their knees, and they reveal everything. They are doing what the man has told them, to wait here and attack the carriage while it passes by. He also reveals the notebook with the strange letters scribbled on it. The person riding the carriage is supposed to know what it means, and they are tasked with finding out what it means. Ethan wonders if they are aware of who was riding in the carriage, but they have no clue. They just have a lot of money instead of any brains. Ethan deduces that this is the road Her Highness was to take on her way back, and asks them who hired them. All of a sudden, he turns around. Something whizzes past him and ends the thugs. Ethan realizes that something bigger is going on behind the scenes. Jack finally reveals that he is back, but his head hurts from using his brain cells beyond their capacity. Everyone wonders why he has such a long face, and he hears that he is not playing. He was on a high-stakes mission to accompany the princess out of the palace, though they told him to stop yapping. But Jack continues to whine, and they wonder why he is creating such a big fuss. He looks around attentively and whispers that he heard the Highness say and asks the second prince if he remembers when he asked him to share a bedroom. This catches them off guard, and they don't know what to make of this news. Jack thinks long and hard. His brain cells are crying for a few sick leaves. He remembers the second prince turning as red as a tomato and Her Highness laughing, and maybe they should tell the prince about this matter. A voice emerges from behind a wall of books wondering if she laughed. He agrees, saying that it was as if she was holding back her laughter, but he realizes that it is Cesar. Cesar gets up and grabs his collar, saying that there should be no lies in what he said. Jack swears on his knighthood that he has heard her say that. Cesar looks around, wondering if anyone else has heard it. Jack agrees, saying that the man from the barracks was there to deliver the empress. Cesar recalls him being Sir Oscar, and he must have been ordered by the empress to stay by Noah's side. An attendant won't blab about something so wild, but if the rumors spread, it will be bad. He tells Jack never to speak of this ever again, and if he speaks ill of the family, his head will part ways with his body. Jack bows his head in respect. He also recalls hearing something about Habi after it, but he couldn't hear it because the prince was yelling. Cesar, on the other hand, steps outside to clear his head. He has his sword in hand and tries to think. Canaria and Noah have always been like siblings, and their jokes have crossed the line many times before. He's glad that he found out what Jack had heard, but he doesn't want any weird rumors going on around. He recalls looking at them dancing at the party and also recalls people talking behind their backs. A part of him wonders if it is true, and this is enough to shake the battle-hardened veteran to his core. Why does he need to trust her and make excuses on her behalf? The attendant, on the other hand, views Cesar from a few feet away, even though his precious diary is no longer with him, he has found something much more interesting and he wants to see what will happen with the three of them. Later, Ethan finally arrives and Canaria hurriedly walks towards him, saying that she was worried that he was out so late. This catches him off guard, and he apologizes for not catching up to her. Canaria breathes a sigh of relief. Now she can sleep easy, knowing that he is safe, though Ethan can't imagine Canaria waiting for him this whole time. Canaria asks how she was supposed to rest when her knight hadn't returned yet. Now that her mind is at peace, she can get the sleep she deserves. She also tells Ethan to go and sleep, though Ethan is clenching the diary, wondering how he should proceed. A failed history paper sends Noah's teacher off the rails as she yells that history is supposed to be his favorite subject. How can he score a 0? Noah scratches his head apologetically as he doesn't understand anything and he wants to stop for today. But the teacher points out that he hasn't been a star student lately, and if the empress finds out, he recalls his brother's words to find what he wants to protect. He smiles to himself. Later, Canaria is fishing in the pond and wonders if it's all right for them to spend time fishing. He's supposed to be busy with his lessons after all, but Noah tells her that it's fine. He's free from now. After all, he has a good history as a hare. This surprises Canaria, and she wonders why and how did the empress just take it. Unsurprisingly, he recalls the empress throwing a hissy fit, but now she's starting to come around. So Canaria still looks at him crazily, but Noah reasons that it would be weird if he studies to be the hare since his brother is back and more famous than ever. Canaria wonders if he even wants to become emperor, and Noah finally reveals that he hates war and pain. He doesn't want to be emperor and just wants to live under his brother, taking it easy. So Canaria laughs and says that it's the same. She wants to receive a huge sum of alimony and live a life having fun. After all, she has accepted her fate to get divorced. Her life plan is to leave the palace quietly and buy a building in a small town where she can live off rent and passive income. She also recalls her dream to be a landlady in Gangnam, and in this world, she'll make it true. Noah looks at her in surprise, wondering why she wants to divorce her husband. She points out that the daughter of her rural barons is not fit to be empress, and the emperor will reach the conclusion someday. Though Noah scratches his hand and says that Cesar won't divorce her. Though Canaria wonders why, Noah can't believe what kind of dense person she is, but he realizes that she is for real. She has no clue how Cesar feels about her. Canaria spots Cesar hiding behind a tree, and they wonder what he is doing here, but Cesar is surprised at being caught. He is supposed to be the master of disguise, though Canaria wonders if he is sulking because they are playing alone. Noah says that it's not that, but she recalls asking Cesar as a child to accompany her on a picnic while he told her that he didn't want to. She cut straight to the chase and just went with Noah, and Cesar was left behind because he was not honest with his feelings and was pretending not to be interested, while in reality, he was sulking for days. She wonders if this is the case, and he is so cute if he is this way. Though Cesar is troubled by what he has heard, he has visited Noah's attendant and confirmed the rumor, and he remembers how he didn't deny it nor accept it. He just told the attendant to forget what he heard, and he should know what it would mean for Noah if this got out. The attendant had agreed, though he asked him if he was taking the situation lightly. But the attendant reassured him that he is well aware of the consequences of his actions and is also envious of his relationship with his brother. This had shocked Cesar. Cesar is clenching his fist so hard that it starts to bleed, but he tries to steel his resolve. Later, Noah asks his attendant what is the matter with his face. It is a giant bruise. The attendant tells him there is nothing, while in reality, his face was acquainted with Cesar's fist. Though Canaria is not sure if it is because it is the end of the year that there have been a lot of parties lately, she is still wearing the new dress that she ordered a while back. It resembles the night sky, and she is also wearing the necklace Cesar had gifted her. The maid informs her that the prince is waiting for her, and she decides to show him the necklace. She asks Cesar if he has been waiting for too long, but Cesar looks away, and Canaria wonders why he looks so terrible. She asks him if there is something on his mind, but he disagrees. She asks him to take a look, and Cesar's eyes widen in surprise. His heart skips a beat as Canaria looks stunning with the new necklace. Cesar blushes furiously and agrees that it looks expensive, though in reality, he meant that the necklace looks good on her. Canaria wants him to be a more straightforward husband, but decides to take what she can get. She also invites him to go fishing the next time they are together, but Cesar sulks, saying that he has no time to waste. Canaria wonders if he is upset because she was fishing alone with Noah, and she had told him that they met coincidentally. But Cesar says that it's not that. Canaria wonders if he remembers that as kids, then he would get upset when they were playing together. Cesar wonders if she still thinks that he is a child, and this kind of ticks off Canaria. She turns to leave, trying to tease him that she will spend more time alone with Noah, but in his desperation, Cesar reaches out and grabs the hem of her dress. His eyes are pleading, and Canaria finds it adorable. She bursts out laughing, and Cesar wonders what part of the conversation was funny, but she pinches him. She couldn't resist how cute he was acting, and she was just joking. As she turns to leave, Cesar tightens the grip around her finger, and Canaria realizes he has been like an attention-seeking puppy. It looks like work has been rough, and though she wants to keep teasing him, she decides to spare him this time. This time, the party is hosted by Gracie Lancaster, a special gathering to celebrate her business. Gracie greets them and thanks them for accepting the invitation. She is dressed beautifully in an aquamarine dress. Gracie spots Canaria from a mile away and compliments her on her dress. Though Canaria wonders why she is talking about her dress. Is she trying to pick a fight or something? But it turns out she is generally complimenting her. This shocks Canaria, and she wonders what is going on. Did she hit herself on the back of her head? But Gracie tells her not to be so on guard. She is only giving honest compliments. The design and the fashion are incredible, and who designed the dress? Canaria looks away in embarrassment, as she is responsible for making the design, but the detailed parts were done by Isabel. Gracie looks at her in surprise, as Isabel is one of her favorite designers and is an expert in covering new grounds in fashion. Canaria was trying to shop at a store not owned by Gracie, but it turns out Gracie has been taking over other stores. She walks away in depression, while Cesar wonders when she started acting like Jeff Bezos. Gracie laughs and terms it as a strategy to expand her business. They continue to talk about business, but it looks like they are having a cold war. Canaria tries to butt in, but they tell her off. Canaria wonders how they ended up like this when they were this perfect lovey-dovey couple in the novel. She is confused beyond words.